You're watching France 24's Access Asia. I'm Molly Hall. Here's what's coming up in today's show. Karoshi crisis as employees in Japan are working themselves to death. And from baby slump to baby boom, China's new two-child policy bears fruit. Plus, an inmate rock band in Indonesia uses music to keep others away from crime and drugs. But first, it's a growing concern in Japan, people working themselves to death. There's even a term for it, Karoshi. Now, a government report on the subject says 1 in 5 workers are at risk. Suicide, heart attack, or stroke, the main causes. Japanese workers spend much longer hours in the office than those in other countries, and attempts by some companies to create a better work-life balance have come up short.
Since her husband committed suicide some 30 years ago, Japan's health ministry has become somewhat of a second home for Amiko Teranishi. She says before he died, her husband physically and mentally exhausted himself by working 14 hours a day for 10 years straight.
In Japan, people think that they will be liked more if they work longer hours, that they are showing how motivated they are by surviving on very little sleep. We really need to change this bad mentality in Japan, or things will never improve.
Today, Teranishi heads a support group for families affected by Karoshi. Part of the problem, she says, is that the country's 40-hour work week isn't respected. For example, at 1 out of every 5 Japanese companies, workers regularly clock 20 hours of overtime each week. The health ministry formed a special unit to counter the rise in Karoshi 2 years ago, but so far the numbers haven't come down. Still, tangible measures are being implemented.
You've worked too many hours today. I'm sorry to bother you while you're working, but we must respect the rules.
At this tech firm, employees must write down the time they intend to leave the office, and the manager makes sure everyone is gone by 6 p.m.
It's the first time I've worked extra hours. I feel embarrassed to have been found out.
Since the measure was introduced 4 years ago, the firm has reduced overtime by 60% and has still managed to increase its annual turnover by almost a third. Next year, the government is expected to pass a law banning companies from paying overtime. The idea is to link salaries to performance rather than time spent at work.
This past January, Beijing switched from a one-child to a two-child policy as a way to tackle the country's aging population. Well, now it looks like a baby boom could be on its way. Authorities estimate that 3 million more infants will be born each year for the next 5 years. Our Josh Vardy has more.
An obvious consequence of the end of China's one-child policy, more babies. Many of these babies in this Beijing clinic are second-born children, reflecting a growing birth rate across the country. Wang Ying is 35 years old and a civil servant. She says she's relieved to be allowed to have a second baby, who is now 15 days old.
I wanted one, but it was forbidden. I work for the government, and I risked losing my job if I had a second child.
Growing numbers of women from all over the country are now enrolling on nanny courses. It's become a very popular job.
Today you are going to learn how to dress and undress the baby and change a nappy.
The training costs around €130. Qualified nannies are now in huge demand in the cities from middle-class families.
I love children, and I know this work is well paid.
Chinese tradition dictates that new mothers should stay in bed for a month, requiring the help of a nanny. A nanny who also knows how to cook can earn between €1,000 and €4,000 a month, more than the average salary in China.
We are going to open nanny universities in many other Chinese cities, like Shanghai, Suzhou, and Shenzhen.
It's not only more nannies who are needed, but also more maternity wards. In the next 5 years, authorities are expecting at least 15 million extra births. Public hospital waiting rooms are packed out.
We need a huge effort to respond to the demand. We're in the middle of expanding the waiting area, and we're hiring more people.
The decision to roll back the one-child policy also has an impact on the economy, with more people than ever buying clothes and child products.
Sales have gone up 30%.
Above all, it's been good news for families. This young family had their second baby 6 months ago and say they have no regrets.
Look around. There are many mothers here waiting for their second child. We had a second baby to be a companion for our daughter.
Around 6 million new Chinese babies were born in the past 6 months, almost half of them are second children. The aging population was behind the government's decision, but even now it's permitted, not everyone will want to expand their families.
In the big cities like Shanghai, having a second child is expensive. Not everyone can do it.
That's also a reason why China has one of the lowest birth rates in the world, meaning that despite the change in the law, the country will still struggle to offset its aging population.
Next, in the heart of New Delhi lies India's capital of resistance. Jantar Mantar Street is located close to the parliament and is the country's protest hub. On any given day, dozens of demonstrations are being held for various reasons. Our Ellen Gainsford has more.
If you have a cause to champion, Jantar Mantar is the place to be. In the heart of New Delhi, demonstrators here hold protests, hunger strikes, but also birthday celebrations for Donald Trump. It's a mishmash of malcontents, with dozens camping overnight to air their grievances.
They just sit there, trying to just live long their protest. Like somebody is sitting here also, prolonging their protest that we will not end our protest, we will fight back. How small our power is, how small our strength is, we will fight because we are fighting for the right cause.
Santosh Singh has been protesting here for 4 years. His family destroyed his records and declared him dead because he opposed his marriage. Left by his wife and stripped of his land, Singh campaigns alone, hoping authorities will give proof to his existence.
The media is witness that I'm alive and that I've been protesting here. For 4 years, I've been protesting.
The right to protest has a rich history in India and was instrumental in Gandhi's opposition to British rule. But despite this, Jantar Mantar is one of just a few official protest zones left in the country. And with strict rules and heavy surveillance, the demonstrations here have become more of a symbol than of action.
You give them a right to protest, and then the entire place where people would come to protest, you place them under a restricted entry. How do you protest? So laws like this have to go.
Many have left their jobs to protest full-time. A few have even taken extreme measures. A veteran asking for an increase in pension poisoned himself in early November. And in 2015, a farmer hanged himself here, just a stone's throw from India's corridors of power.
Next, we meet a unique music band in Indonesia. Antrobes, or Children of Iron Bars, is made entirely of inmates. Playing about the hardships of life in jail, the group hoped to inspire people to stay away from crime and drugs. Lauren Bersticker reports.
A rock concert in a prison courtyard. Here, both the spectators and the musicians are convicted criminals. Children of Iron Bars, or Antrobes in Indonesian, was formed in Bali's Kerobokan prison earlier this year. The band is made up of 8 inmates, including 2 women, all charged and convicted for a variety of drug-related offenses. Founding member and guitarist Octave Cecilia has already served 2/3 of a 3-year sentence for marijuana possession.
People out there say that we're the garbage of society. But sometimes garbage is useful. When we recycle garbage, we can create a better product.
According to Indonesian law, people charged with drug possession must be sent to a rehabilitation center. But due to recent budget cuts, many end up going to jail instead. It was thanks to the Kerobokan prison's music and arts program that Antrabez members were able to get their hands on instruments.
We received a great wave of support after we introduced the program, especially from the art community and from Bali artists.
The hardest part remains band practice. Since there are both men and women in Antrabez, the group can only meet under tight supervision. Despite these difficulties, Antrabez already released 2 singles, both powerful rock ballads on the perils of life behind bars.
I was first contacted by the head of the prison and the Inmates Association. I studied their songs and they were really nice, very touching, telling real stories.
Antrabez members now hope they can continue to make music together, even after some of them are released later this year.
Finally, we'll leave you now with images from an international breakdancing competition in Japan. 16 dancers from 12 countries took part in the Red Bull final, and the winner was a local favorite. It was Japanese dancer Issei Hori from Kyushu Island. Well, that's it for us for this edition. We'll see you again next time on Access Asia.